Okay, so Genesis 1:1. Have to do it on here because my other phone, the mic is not working on it for some reason, so I cannot record sound. So I am getting a blurry camera on TikTok, and I want to have more time and not be limited because of how much truth there is in just Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God. Now, in that in those few short words, we can see and we can glean a lot. In the beginning, God. It's showing that in the beginning, God was already there. God is existing outside of time. God was there before the beginning. We can see that just from those words. In the beginning, God. So the fact, I mean, all right, let's slow down. In the beginning, God. We see God already in the beginning, which means he was not created. He was there before the beginning, and he is the one that is the first and the last, right? In the beginning, God created, all right? That extra word is key because we are created individuals. God is the creator. He was not created. A creator cannot be created. We have to think outside of our own realm of thinking and think outside of our limited thoughts in order to begin to understand the mystery that is God. Um, I want to put this on pause so I can get my book. Okay, so I have a book on Facebook. It's called Who is God? It is public. It is not complete, but it is public. Um, So you can probably search up Who is God on Google or Facebook and find my book and read it. It's not complete though, just take that into account. Alright, so we are first introduced to God through a number of ways. Our parents, our friends, loved ones, missionaries, etc. I'm just going to skip down to the second paragraph. In the beginning, Elohim. Need to stop right here in the middle of the verse so that I can explain to you just how much you can learn about God in just a one small yet significant part of the first verse of Genesis chapter 1. The way the sentence is set up shows that God was there before the beginning. In other words, God already existed before our timeline was in place, before time began. This could mean that God exists outside of our time in a completely different dimension that exists outside of time. This is even the first recording of the possibility of another dimension existing. I included the original name of God from the original text Elohim because it can be translated as gods, which you will see later on in this book in more detail. For now, my purpose is to show you that in the very beginning we see that God is in three persons, and so this book has three parts for each of the three persons of God. Let's move on. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created. Putting a pause on yet again. But with the introduction of that one word, created, is rather important. If you think about it, man is often wondering about where God came from. Did man create God? If God created man, who created God? These are thoughts that we often have as created individuals. They are indeed legitimate thoughts, however, they are flawed nonetheless. In the beginning, God created. God was the first one to create. We think as though God must have been created because we are limited to the thinking that everything was created, and to think otherwise is nonsense. Excuse me. We are somewhat rational beings, but God, however, existing separate from our own dimension outside of time, even does not adhere to our rationale. God's thoughts are higher than our own. It says in the Bible, Isaiah 55, 8 through 9, English Standard Version, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." So to begin to understand, that's end quote. So picking up, so to begin to understand God, we must begin to stop thinking in our traditional way of thinking and accept that there are things like God we will never be able to understand. For how can man who is flesh truly understand God who is spirit and even beyond? Man can barely accept the spiritual world, and only some of the population will even believe in the existence of a spiritual realm. So, what is the point of this, you ask? Is it still not man's passion to understand and be with God? And go on from there. All right, so that's Genesis 1 1. Um, and my whole book is basically on trying to understand God, some of my thoughts with it, and it moves away from Genesis. Um, but just in that alone, Genesis 1 1, in the beginning, God created, we see just how much we don't understand in God and how flawed our thinking is, and how often man tries to put God in a box by saying that he must have been created, because we are unable to comprehend that there is a being out there that who was not created, because he is the creator, right? So there's that. Now, you should also check out Torah Bereshah Bereshit on YouTube to see the significance of the uh, Hebrew, the Paleo Hebrew opening, because the first word in Genesis 1 1 in the Paleo Hebrew is Bereshit, in the beginning. And in that word, in and of itself, we see that it predicts Jesus and the crown of thorns that he wears on his head and everything else. I don't want to put it onto a video, because I feel like that would be like kind of like copyright infringement. So I would suggest checking it out for yourself. That's not a revelation that was revealed to me personally, but that is actually from the original Paleo Hebrew, and those who are scholars have researched it and have discovered the prophecies therefrom, which is coming from Isaiah, even that you have to go into and check it out for yourself. All right. God bless. That's the end of this video for Genesis 1 1.